We're both going bald.
I know, but I'm really going bald. It's bad.
What appointment did you book in for?
A hair person
No,
appointment?
the one where they put
No,
the
I'm going to like a proper hair specialist, like a person who's like
transplant.
There's one in Darlinghurst.
Guys, I fucking am.
She comes in with a luscious mane.
No, I'll come in with a shaved strip at the back and all these like hair plugs.
Are you going to get a transplant? My friend does transplants.
I'm not going to go for it. That feels aggressive
guy who's got
first.
No, I know heaps of people that's got
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
It was
I'm going to
$10,000.
Turkey.
You sat there.
Hello to Turkey, baby.
If you
see Laura in Turkey.
if you see
I'm
it in the calendar,
Gossamer just coming back going, you still good?
if you see it in the calendar that I'm going for a trip to Turkey, you know why.
It's not to Cappadocia.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Laura.
I'm Brittany.
We're having a deep dive about the fact
Baldness.
that I'm going bald, and we're joking about it, but it's actually not funny.
It is funny, but it's funny in a not funny way. It's funny because we've been making it funny, and it's only funny because I'm also going bald.
No,
if
but-
you were going bald on your own, we couldn't laugh as hard, but we are in this together.
You're not going bald at the same rate. You're just not.
I'm a slower rate.
Yeah.
But don't you take that from me. It is still thinning.
This is something, I mean, I know we talk about everything on this podcast. One thing that doesn't get enough airtime is female pattern baldness. And I'm just here.
Is that what you've actually researched it? Female pattern bald. Oh, it's PTB.
I don't.
FPB. FPB. Why was that so hard? FPB.
It's been a long time since we've been at school and you've had like a real job working at a hospital.
Yeah, this isn't a real job.
Well, okay, I did do some research on it. And apparently if you have your paternal, so your dad is, wow, that speaking is really hard today. So apparently if your dad is bald, you have like some high percentage chance that it's going to actually affect you even as a female. My dad went bald 20. I have photos of him
20?
at 20. At his wedding, he was 25, I think, when he married my mum. Fucking so bald with a mustache. And look what's happening to me.
You've got a moustache and your hair is falling out at a rapid rate.
But it's just kicked in because I went through, obviously, like having kids. Had Marley, hair fell out. It kind of regrew, but never was good. Then I had Lola, hair fell out. No, it's kind of the opposite. Your hair stops falling out and then it all falls out after you give birth, right? And now there is no reason, but all of a sudden I've been having like clumps of hair falling out. It could be stress. I think it's not stress. I think it's just that I'm going bald as a female, and that's going to be a vibe. Let's bring it back.
We could make that a thing.
You've got a nice face.
No, I don't
You're in
have
a fortunate position.
a bad shaped head though. Also, it's why I've resorted to wearing my hair back all the time because it's so thin now.
You know it's bad when the only guy in the room, I just, out of the corner of my eye, saw Jono when you went like, my dad went bald at 20, I'm screwed. He went, and then he looked at you with such sympathy. I wish we had a camera on that because
Damn it.
I just keep looking over at you and picturing when you said I'm getting a mustache, and I just imagine the video version of this being edited to have a Luigi mustache put on.
but no hair. Poor Laura. She just starts wearing fedoras.
She looks like a Pringle.
You guys know the day that I start wearing a cap to every recording, it's because I've gotten a hair transplant.
We've got Life Uncut hats. You could get high on our own supply.
Great for merch promo. Perfect. No, I'm serious though. Let's take a moment. Yeah, Britt, thank you. Serious. I have an appointment on Wednesday. I'm going to see like a hair specialist. Actually, do you know who talked about this recently? Sally Hepworth was recently talking about how she had lost loads of hair and she wears like a hair topper.
She has
It's
alopecia, doesn't she?
I don't think she has alopecia. I think she has teloephagen, which is like a different type. It's like a sparse hair loss all around the top of your head. Look, I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that, but she did go on her socials, and the reason why I'm speaking about her is because we've interviewed her on the podcast before.
She's great.
An amazing author. That was such a fun episode we did with her. But she was speaking about how she has to wear a hair topper. So she wears a literal wig because her hair on top of her head has become so sparse. And I think
I just pictured you, sorry. I know we're being serious, but I just pictured you with a Trump hair topper. He puts his big hair on. No, we're being serious. It is serious. It is.
Is it?
And it's serious because so many women experience it not just from post-birth. Like it's not just a post-birth hair loss. It's just something that happens and people don't talk about. I've talked about my little bald patch for ages, but our bald patches are different.
Yeah, mine is like I actually think I have proper hair loss.
Yeah.
And all of my hair, so as my hair's falling out, each hair is getting thinner and thinner. And so I'm going to go and see this specialist on Wednesday. But, and I know we talk about everything on this podcast and really nothing embarrasses me anymore. But like, I feel like if you're a woman and you have thinning hair, like that's something that's embarrassing and no one really talks about that. And it shouldn't be. But unfortunately it is. And I no longer can wear my hair out without wearing extensions in because it's just, there's nothing of it.
Is that because you just feel like it's not that there's bald patches, but it's so thin that you
It's
just
so
see the scalp?
thin. But even now, so like I could get away with wearing like my clip-in extensions and I had enough hair to cover it. But now my hair feels so thin that you can see where I'm clipping in the extensions. So I like don't even bother. I just wear my hair in a slicked bun, baby. That's me.
You can get, and I've used it before, it's like a coloured spray. Have you seen the coloured spray? Because the
You encouraging me to dye my scalp?
No, hear me out.
Sam Fisher used it, remember?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. I've used it before. It's because it's worse for us when you have dark hair because the contrast between a white scalp and the dark hair, it's so much more. If you've got blonde hair, it's not as obvious, but it's just the spray, exactly what Sam Fisher said he talked about, and you just spray the spot and it just takes the contrast away and it's so much better. And it just washes out. You don't have a black scalp for like a week or 2 weeks. Use it for the day and it washes out. You can't see it. Maybe that's what I'll get you for Christmas.
One more joke, just to appease me. Do you guys remember Rudy Giuliani, the guy who was sweating on TV and he had the hair, the spray, and it was running down his
Yeah, he looked like he had a bad fake tan on, and it looked like the fake tan was. I didn't realize that was his hair that was melting.
It was the hairspray that was melting.
Oh,
so
you do get clammy.
Other than the spray option, what options are at your fingertips?
So I don't really know. I mean, I've done a bit of research, but I'm going to this appointment to find out what. And obviously, they have to do other tests like your bloods, your hormones. It could be thyroid. It could be low iron. Like, there's lots of other things it could be. But I'm pretty certain it's my dad being bald that's really given it a good kicker.
Oh, this is so bad. You're doing that. I have to be tested for osteoarthritis.
What?
How old are we?
Guys, what happened to this podcast? Did we just age up our entire demographic of listeners?
We used to talk about like hot sex and dating, and now it's
Hair loss and osteopathy.
We evolve with you.
Grow with us. It is. I am interested in all seriousness because it's nice to see what options are out there. I'm going to assume they don't just go straight for the plugs. I'm going to assume that they start with like some vitamins or the little injections that you get that help the hair grow. Like there's injections that you can put under a LED light. But I'm fascinated to see what the base start level is.
Yeah, so I mean, from what I've researched, but I will report back on Wednesday for all you hairless galleys. There's like minoxidil, which is like a topical treatment, but then there's minoxidil that you can take orally. Then there's PRP treatment.
What happens if you take it orally and every bit of hair grows? You just have this massive bush and like your underarms are dragging along the ground.
It's what's going to happen. Like, guys, I shaved my face and now I've got to try and like, what's going on here? I don't really. I get dermaplaning, but it's like my face is going to go.
You're going to be so hairy.
Fuck.
Welcome to PCOS life.
Maybe I will just book in a trip to Turkey and just
I'll
be done
come.
with it.
I will 100% come. Turkey's my favourite country to visit.
We could record from there.
The question is, if I do, because they don't call them hair plugs anymore, they call it a hair transplant. Yeah. It's elevated. If I do go down the path of getting a hair transplant, like how long do I have to try and cover it for? Or do I just come out and say it from the get-go?
I have a friend that right near our house in Sydney that does hair transplants. She's an amazing doctor that does them all the time in Double Bay.
But you know how they do a hair transplant? They have to shave an entire strip at the back of your head. So you have this like big strip at the back where there's no hair at all, and then they take that hair and they implant it into the front of your head.
Yes, but I think for women. Actually, she told me this. There's different areas that they use for women and men because the hair growth is different. It's really interesting. But I can G you up an appointment.
It stresses me out that they're going to take hair from anywhere else because I'm like, it's the one area that I'm not bald. Don't take it.
Take it from my pubes, please.
Imagine if you had pube hair growing out the fringe.
She just got curls in this one spot at the back.
No, the underneath. It's like a curling mullet.
You can have some of mine if you want. I have a lot of hair. And
fuck off.
No,
Sure.
Don't rub it in.
Hairdressers hate it. They charge you more for it because they get pissed off that it's going to take them way longer. But this will be a nice bonding experience. You can shave a part of mine and you can have that. That's not blonde.
Keisha's like, she's acting like she's giving you a kidney. I'll give you one of mine. Okay. I'll keep you
I would give you a kidney.
Thank you. That's very Selena Gomez of you. I'd give you a kidney too.
She received a kidney.
So I think my problem is, not to make this about me, but our baldness is different. I don't think I can get a hair transplant for my baldness because mine is this double crown thing. It's just where your hair grows in a fan. But a hair transplant only works if there's ever hair that grows from it. So if no hair's ever grown out of my bald spot, you can't just put one in to grow. It has to have the follicle already under there.
Yes,
So
yeah.
mine's just screwed. Like I'm just going to keep fanning out and out and out.
But yours is just your part. Like yours isn't actually
double
a bald
crown.
Yeah. So yours isn't actually a bald spot as much as like mine is just like overall thinning. Anyway, sorry guys. I know that was a real deep dive. I like to keep you updated on all of the life and internal dramas that I'm having. I know we keep talking about me going in and getting a labiaplasty, but I'm going for the labia from the bottom to the
Go
top.
to Turkey and get the whole lot, head to toe.
I'll come back like a Kardashian. It'll be great.
I think there'll be a lot of lifers that experiencing this exact same thing, or B, have probably gone down the route where they've already investigated things. So if you've done that, write in and let us know, because I mean, Laura's you're going to the specialist, but it's always interesting to see what has worked for different people ahead of time.
The only thing with that is I don't know if other people feel like this. Anytime you do say, hey, I've got this thing, everybody comes out of the woodworks with like, try this vitamin, try this. Like I've tried all the over-the-counter stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not working. I've bought the Vita Glows and the, whatever it is. Like I've done it and it actually for me is not efficient and it's not working. So like the thing with hair loss is like every single product you use, it says it takes minimum 3 months.
Yeah.
So I've tried them all. This has been years and years now. And I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, there's no point trying over-the-counter stuff. It's simply not working for me. So appreciate it if you've tried some hair vitamins that have been great for you. Like I know a lot of people recommend the JS Health ones, which are supposedly fantastic. I'm sure they're great. They haven't done much for me, but I think, it just depends on what it is that you're struggling with. So for anyone out there who's like actually losing considerable amounts of hair, I feel you, because it really sucks. And it actually it has a massive hit on your confidence, because my hair used to be like part of my aesthetic, and now I don't feel like I can use it as part of my aesthetic anymore. And anytime you see me in photos with a full head of hair and it looking like luxurious, it's been done by a very good hairdresser, and I have a lot of another person's hair stuck in there.
Yeah, and I think even Elizabeth Gilbert spoke about this with you guys recently, because she's just shaved her head, and she spoke about how hair, we connect it with a lot of femininity and feeling like we're feminine beings.
Yeah,
and that kind of
absolutely.
thing. And I can imagine that. Actually, when I was on Accutane, I actually lost about a half of the volume of my hair just for the time that I was on that medication, because it's one of the side effects that a lot of people experience. And I feel awful saying that, because I'm like, oh, now my hair's back to normal and I'm all good. But I do remember feeling like, what the fuck is happening? Like, and it comes out in big clumps, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is just getting worse. Like, when is this going to stop? How is this going to end?
And I feel like anyone who's had kids kind of has been through it, because a lot of people, like I said, lose hair, grow hair. Like it's all just fucking weird during that period. But I'm so far out of that, like that baby
Period, yeah.
period, that babydom, that I'm like, oh, surely it should be better now. But it's 10 times worse than it was then.
Okay, well, good luck.
you go.
Let us know what they
Thanks.
say.
Let's go to Turkey.
Hey, talking about these natural kind of therapies. So Ben has injured himself last week. He injured his calf muscle, unfortunately, so he's got to have a couple of weeks off football.
Well, that's convenient since you're heading over there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not intentional. But part of the treatment is, he told me, he's like, I've got to go, well, they want me to go and see this lady. She's one lady that they know that does it, and they rub placenta into him.
Sure.
Excuse me?
Human or
Placenta.
animal?
Well, I'm trying to do some deep diving, because all I could think about was this lady just gives birth, keeps her placenta in, and then just like they just have birthing ladies that rub their placenta on them. Apparently, horses give birth and then they take their placenta and then they channel it, they ship it over to this lady, and then she rubs the placenta into you.
Well, not to go back to hair, but you can also buy sheep placenta as a hair mask from your local chemist.
Can you?
Yeah, like apparently.
Well, have you tried that?
I
I want to try some sheep placenta.
You said you would try anything, Laura. You haven't given it a go. No, apparently like placenta has many healing properties. So I understand the theories behind it. Am I going to rush out and do a hair placenta mask? Not for me, but like,
Laura, don't you go down to the farm every week? I picture Laura rolling around in sheep placenta at the farm.
At this point, I'll try anything.
But anyway, I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to get this placenta rubbed into him, which at the start I was like, this is so wrong. And then I thought about it, and placenta is like, it is the sole thing that keeps a child alive and grows a child. That's why they say that you should, like when you birth your placenta, get it made into capsules and reconsume it. So like when I thought about it, it's
I understand the theory behind it, and I absolutely don't want to yuck anyone's yum because I know like a lot of women do have their placentas turned into things. Like in no way does it bother me, but I also think, yes, animals eat it because it's a defense mechanism. So there's not just like a piece of flesh lying around. I don't know. It's for me, I could never get my head around it. And when I birthed that thing out, I was like, can someone please take that out of the room? There's an alien in here with me.
I am going to eat mine, I think.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why?
Not
Like a
raw,
steak.
not like No,
You hate red meat.
0 to 100 real quick. From fish to placenta.
Cannibalism.
No, but I think after like doing the reading, I think I would get it made into the capsules. And you just store it up. You can have it for like a year. And apparently it heals. Okay, everyone's laughing at me. I reckon people get it made into all sorts of things and eat it.
Some people have it made into smoothies. This is not a new thing though, like the people having their placentas made into capsules. Like it's a very, very common.
Yes.
But so what happened to my girlfriend, which I thought was very funny, she had her placenta and there was a lot going on in the room because like it was not an emergency birth, but there was a lot happening that was a bit stressful and she needed to have a blood transfusion. Lots of people were in there running around. Her placenta they put it into like a bucket. So you give birth to your baby and then shortly afterwards, not long afterwards, usually you have to like actually birth your placenta as well, which no one really talks about that. You kind of just think it falls out of you. It doesn't.
It's a double birth.
You got to birth it. So anyway, she's birthed their placenta. It's in the bucket next to like the bed and everyone's running around and the doctor accidentally kicked the bucket and the placenta went flying across the room and no one got it because it was just so chaotic that other things needed to be done first.
And it's so slippery, it probably just slid across.
And she was just like, I just remember sitting there and everything was quite Twilighty and I was looking at it and I was like, my placenta's on the floor.
Because she's so high.
You wouldn't eat that one though, would you? Well, it wouldn't be sterile anymore. Shame. Maybe she wanted that made into capsules.
Maybe that one could be sent over and rubbed on
to
Ben.
Ben's legs. Well, speaking of Ben, finally the time has come. I am on my way tomorrow to Romania. Very excited. So it is obviously our Christmas holidays. This is the longest time of the year that Ben and I get to spend together. It's our third Christmas together, which is very exciting. And the best part is, so I land at I think 1 o'clock or 1:30 in the day. And Sherry, my sister, and Jay and my new niece, Maya, land at like 11 o'clock that night. So they're coming to Romania for 5 or 6 days.
So you actually get no time with Ben solo before Sherry rocks up.
About 5 hours.
He's busy with the placenta lady.
Once he wraps up the placenta, I have about 3 hours with him. No, yeah, probably like 5 hours that we get.
If he's injured himself, like how injured? And does he, like, so he can't play at all?
He's not playing now at the moment. We're hoping that the placenta or whatever he's doing is going to do its job and he'll play the last match of the season, which is in a couple of weeks. So I'll still be there for that, just before Christmas. So he's been out for 2 weeks, probably another week, and then we're hoping he gets – but you can't rush these things because if you try and come back too quickly, it can make you out of the season for longer.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, so we've got a couple of days with Sherry and Jay and Maya and I'm so excited. Maya is now – so – she was born in August, but she was born 5 weeks preemie, you guys might remember. But she's sort of catching up. She's like getting chubbier cheeks now. So I'm really excited to meet her, but it's going to be a lot. He's got a 2-bedroom apartment and we're all in there together with, you know, the babies in there. It's a joining wall with his room and their room. Not
Everyone's
going
to keep everyone up.
Well, maybe we'll time our sex with the baby crying.
So nothing screams romance like a screaming baby.
No, but then they won't know who's screaming. Like, who's that?
Is it the baby or is it Brittany?
Yeah. I'm pretty high pitch. No, just in general.
Do you feel differently? And I know that you obviously already are an auntie and that you have like beautiful nieces and nephews, but you're so close with Sherry. Do you feel different about meeting Sherry's baby or do you feel more excited? Like, is there a difference there? Are you allowed to say that? Your nieces and nephews will be like, fuck you, Auntie Brittany.
I mean, I'm excited about all of them. I've been an auntie. My eldest niece is 10. Yep. So I've been an auntie for 10 years. I've got 2 brothers that have had kids. It's obviously different when Sherry has a child, but I don't feel differently yet because I haven't met it.
Okay.
I haven't met, I've got to stop calling it it.
You're so maternal.
I haven't met her yet. I imagine it's going to feel somewhat different. Everyone tells me it's different when like a sister has a baby as opposed to a brother. But my excitement is no less or no more. Like I've always been excited to meet my nieces and nephews, but I'm more excited to see Sherry in that role as opposed to just meeting the little blob, you know?
Yeah.
Because like at the moment, they're just blobs. They're so cute. And she started smiling. She did her first role a couple of days ago, very advanced. She's very advanced. They're saying she could be in Mensa. But yeah, so it's going to be fun. But this is going to look like a really different trip because they're there. You do things differently with a newborn baby. We're not going to be going out partying. We're not going to be going out probably to even many dinners. It's going to be very wholesome and very like apartment bound because it's also like minus 10 degrees.
How do you feel about going to Romania again?
Thrilled.
It's your favorite place.
Ecstatic. So this is what I'm doing and then I'll stop talking about it. We've got 10 days in Romania. And then Ben and I are going to Switzerland just before Christmas, and I'll have my first Christmas with Ben's family in Switzerland, which is really cool. So they're making it very Swiss. And he and I have 2 nights away in the mountains. Like we booked this chalet to have a bit of romance because by this point we haven't even been together. We're with Sherry and Jay and then we're with his family. 2 nights there, but I'm meeting all his friends for the first time. So we're over 2 years deep and I haven't met those people in his life.
It's also crazy that you guys are getting married next year and there's so many people who are invited to the wedding that you haven't met yet. That you haven't
just
been
people
able
on the
to meet.
street. I just went around giving invites out to fill the seats.
Come down to North Sydney and you might get an invite.
Yeah, so it's cool because like this is his life and his hometown and all the people he grew up with and I don't know any of them and I don't know if they even speak English, so I still might leave not knowing them. But it's going to be great. Then we're heading to Dubai and we have 10 days in Dubai for some warmth. New Year's in Dubai. So yeah, that's my holiday. That's about 3.5 weeks. So that's what I'm doing and I'm super excited.
Kind of feels like it's come around so fast that you're going back over there again. I know that is not the case for you, but I also can't believe that we're at the end of the year and everyone's preparing for Christmas. We put up our Christmas tree on the weekend. It is and looks joyous, but it also looks very budget because the kids put it together. But also it reminded me when I was a kid putting up the Christmas tree and like my favorite thing is that every year we would make an ornament and we would buy one ornament. And that was like, so our entire tree was all sentimental ornaments. So unboxing that box of like every single piece in there meant something because it came from a year prior.
So do you still have the decorations that you guys made as kids?
My mum still has them all. Yeah. But we're
should
trying
get
to do
them.
that for our kids now is that every year we're making an ornament with them and then we go on like one special trip to the shops and they can pick one ornament that they want and that's like what eventually the whole tree will be full of.
Do you remember last year when I was in Scotland with my whole family came over for Christmas and it was our first big Christmas with Ben's family and my family. Ben's family gave me the most beautiful sentimental tree bauble that had our photo made into glass. It was blown in a glass bauble and it was beautiful. And Sheridan was, as soon as I opened it, I was like, oh my God, this is the most magical thing that we are going to have forever. And Sheridan said, oh my God, it's beautiful. Held it up, just dropped it and it smashed within 3 seconds in front of the entire, both families. And you know that moment when you're a kid, she dropped it and she looked up at me. There was pure panic. And she didn't want to, if I don't make eye contact with anyone, it didn't happen. The whole room was silent. She just looked at me and she was pleading with her eyes. She was like, help me. And I was like,
You're on your own, sweetheart.
I was like, you fucking ruined Christmas. Yeah, so we had that sentimental moment and she ruined
For
it.
3 seconds.
For 3 seconds.
Cute.
Yeah,
I love that for
that's
you.
really cute. Are they excited?
The kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really excited now. Although Marley, she's just too smart. She's like working through, like, there's a lot of things about Christmas, as we all know, I'm talking code right now, that are magical because they don't quite make sense, right? You just got to believe in the magic, kind of like the Tooth Fairy. I kind of trying to think of some other ones. What are they?
Easter Bunny.
Easter Bunny. Yes, magical.
Superman.
Magical things that you just have to believe
Sorry,
in.
Jono, he's not real.
Spider-Man. Marley is so smart that she's already questioning things, right? Like she doesn't quite get it. Or she does get it. That's the problem. So like everybody, if you have little kids in the cars, just like please stop it right now because I don't want to say anything that's going to get me cancelled and you're going to hate me. So just I'm going to say something that's going to piss some parents off. So we were at the Christmas carols on the weekend. On Friday night, we all went to the Christmas carols. Part of the Christmas carols is that Santa comes and it's like a really big part of it and all the kids are so excited and I was like, Marley, it's the real one because she has it in her head that like often you go to Christmas parties and you can tell it's just a dude dressed up in a bad suit and so that's like really irked her because she's like, Mum, it's clearly someone's dad and he's wearing a beard.
Right.
And she's 5, but she gets it, right? So we're there and I was like, this is the real one. Like he comes for the carols. It's a really big event. They book him out all the way from the North Pole. And we're standing there and he walks out. All the kids are screaming. They're so happy. And my kid just looks at me and she goes, well, Mum, it's not the real one again, is it? because he's not even old around the eyes, and that's just a beard that he's wearing like a wig.
You're like, he's got
And I was like,
Botox, honey.
How do you
He's
know?
in the eastern suburbs of Sydney.
Santa cares about his appearance as well.
He's been going to the man's clinic. No, honestly, I was like, she can't be fooled. And it's becoming a problem because no one has told her the truth about Christmas, but she is figuring it out on her own at rapid pace. And I don't know how to kind of, keep lying to her.
I would just say to her, believe or you don't get any presents. That's not a joke.
Bully her into it.
The
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that questions, like, do I just bring her in on it?
Not at 5.
Do I just actually have that conversation and tell her that if she continues to share questions like this with other kids and stuff, she could ruin it for them as well? Like, at what point do parents go, now is the time?
Because she still believes. She's just questioning things.
I think next year it might be the time. Now it's not, but I think if she really questions or she asks point blank, I'll tell the truth. It's not about her not believing. I don't want her to ruin it for her sister.
Yeah.
And I don't want her to ruin it for her cousins. So I'm not going to give her sort of like the definitive answer around Christmas if it means that she's going to fuck it up for the rest of the kids,
The thing that I've always questioned with the whole Christmas and Easter Bunny and tooth fairy and yada, 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 I know that for parents, like, they're trying to build trust with kids. And at what point do the kids go, well, you've been lying to me about that, so what else is not?
Nah, you never
Is
think that.
Don't they?
Nah. When did you ever think that?
My brother told me when I was too young to even have questions about it. So I was the Lola in that situation. I had a curious brother. He told me when I was far too young to even comprehend the difference between what was real and what wasn't.
So it got ruined for you.
It definitely upsets me when you think that, like, and when I think back, I swear I wasn't that young. I couldn't have been. But to think that you only get 5 years of magic before a child figures it out, that seems far too young.
5 is really, really young. Yeah.
It is. I swear. Who were we speaking to the other day that said, producer Grace, our producer Grace for radio, we were talking about this conversation and she said she only figured it out when she was in year 8. That's too old. That's like 14.
When you're getting bullied at school, it's probably your mum needs to bring you in on things. Like, then it's time.
100%.
Well, speaking of school, actually, last week, you guys might remember, randomly we got onto the topic of school talent quests. And I told the story about how I got up and I sung like a Celine Dion remix, or also like Kylie Minogue, Tears on My Pillow.
I know you want to sing it.
My pillow, pain in my heart.
But it wasn't even the original.
Caused by you. Brittany hates it because I've been singing it all week to her now. And it's,
Yeah, because people don't want to hear you sing on here.
I did say that if you have a funny talent quest memory, because everyone has one and we just suppress them. Mine was horrible. I got bullied for years about it. Brittany got up and did was it a slutty dance or just like a... How would you describe it?
Not everything was a slutty dance. No. Yes, I did do one, but that wasn't what I talked about. No, well, I did a dance. I choreographed a dance with 4 girls and my earring got caught into one of the girls' hair on stage and she didn't know and she kept running across the stage, ripping my earring out. It was a disaster. Then I tried to recover by doing a dance with pool cues.
That was the slutty dance. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah, we might have dropped it like it was hot on the pool cue. We were about 8 years old. Yeah.
Okay, so we did a call out. We asked you guys, what are your outrageous talent quest performances that you did, and some of you came through with some absolute crackers. At my school, there were some students who played the recorder with their nostrils.
That's talent.
That's actually, that should have won. If that was in tune, that's hard.
Imagine like a 7-year-old getting up on stage and they bring up a recorder, which is already an annoying instrument, and then they're like, but wait, sticking it in their nose. It's like they might as well stick it in their ass and play it with a fart. Like,
Also, I probably would have given that a 10.
they should win.
Queefed it. No, too young. At 10... At 10 years old, I dressed up as Marilyn Monroe with balloons down my top and lip synced to Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend.
It does make you question, like, none of the teachers are vetting these. So, like, you get up on stage, you start your talent quest, and all the teachers like, oh, probably should have stopped that one.
We should have checked it.
Especially in today's day and age. Okay, I was so excited to be the sheep in the nativity play. I thought I'd scored the best part. She was the sheep.
You know, if you're the sheep, you've got no drama skills. You can't act, you can't sing, you can't dance. If they've put you on all fours and wrapped you in wool and all your line is bah, then you're a fail.
You've nailed it, but also there is another nativity one that needs to be read out. And I like I said, I know that this is not necessarily Talent Quest related, but these kids created their own nativity play. So this was not one that was created by the teachers, and it was a performance that was done at school. And she wrote, I was part of a Christmas nativity play that we created, and I was Mary. And I decided to birth baby Jesus on stage. I was 10 years old.
Can you just imagine, imagine you're the parents in the audience and you haven't seen it. You're so excited to go and watch your daughters.
It's probably a Catholic school too.
100%.
It'd have to be.
100%.
They probably applauded her. She probably won.
Well, I don't think she did it as part of the quest. I don't think that there was an
she
award.
just did it?
They just created a nativity play.
I danced to Britney Spears' song Boom Boom and winked at the boys in the front row. I was in grade 2. Just throw a little winking. Where are people learning this?
My brother sang Who Let the Dogs Out, which is funny in itself just because if you think about the song, and we were talking about this before, do you do all of the chorus? Are you singing Who Let the Dogs? And then are you also singing Who? Or do you have a backup singer to do those parts for you? Or are you doing the whole thing as a one-man show?
No, you're doing your own backup for sure. You just can't take a breath.
I also sang at the talent show in year 10 and was mocked for the rest of the time because I sucked. We're fair. I feel that one, girl. I lip synced Barbie Girl by Aqua in grade 5 with a cardboard cutout of a Barbie car.
That's good. Props. I didn't get any props. I had to steal a pool cue.
There's another one, which is a lip sync one. I lip synced and danced to Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey.
Another one that the teachers didn't vet.
I did a dance to I'm Blue by Eiffel with a blow-up blue alien the size of my body.
And then there's one more, which I think this is great. We can't leave it out. We danced to Cream by Prince in year 6, straddling chairs and hair flicking. Also not vetted by the teachers. Well done, guys.
If there is anything we can take away from this, it's that you need to have your entry pre-approved by either anyone over the age of 18, an adult, your parents, an older sibling, or maybe a teacher.
No, I disagree. I think it's more so that we lived of a time where kids could get away with a lot more. I don't think kids are doing this at school talent quests anymore.
I've seen Marley May dance.
I know. And she
gets down and dirty.
She does.
She drops it. She does the body rolls. She does the body rubs.
Guys,
she loves the crop top.
You should have seen her at the carols. She loves a crop top. She loves the crop top. And even when she's not wearing a crop top, she tries to turn it into a crop top. She's 5. She just has been watching too many dance clips because they're all it's a real worry out there. They're all very hypersexual. They're very hypersexualized. And even though they're G-rated dance clips, she watches it and she's like, yeah. And then she goes to play group and does it.
But I don't think that was any different to when we were young because I remember Britney Spears was the one. Christina Aguilera, Dirty, that came out when we were growing up.
Britney Spears was in a school uniform on the lockers. Grinding the locker.
I don't think it's any different to when we were growing up.
It's a real problem, isn't it?
Even think of the boy bands. It's not just women. Think of the old NSYNC and Backstreet Boys dances. They were still sexy. So even if a little girl was copying those dances, it's still sexy. They were still getting into it.
This is our thing. Every time we drive down to Ulladulla now, so we do on the weekends, we do that big drive down south. It's 3.5 hours. We only listen to songs that are either from the early 2000s, the 90s. I'm talking Backstreet Boys, Hanson, Spice Girls. That is the road trip playlist. And I think Backstreet Boys was so it's so underrated now. We should bring it back because it's a fucking banger. Ba, ba, ba.
That was NSYNC.
Oh, wasn't it Backstreet Boys?
No, Bye 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 was NSYNC. Oh. Baby, bye, 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 bye.
What was the Backstreet Boys one then? Backstreet's back. All right.
Yeah.
Am I original? Yeah. Am I the only one? No, it's only one first, and then it's Am I Sexual? It's the last. Am I everything you needed? Yeah, to rock your body right. Everybody, yeah. Rock your body, yeah. Everybody, rock your body right. Do, 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 do. Backstreet's back. All right.
Okay, brilliant.
Well, now that we've gotten all the personal little chit-chats out of the way and all caught up, there was something that happened over the weekend which we wanted to speak about. We simply must talk about Raygun again.
And again.
And again. And forever. Some people might have thought that she's, was a one-hit wonder, but no.
No, she's at her peak, apparently.
Also, she made it to the GQ Awards the other night. The Man of the Year Awards. I don't know if you guys saw this. There's these one-year awards that happen. It's a GQ. It's the who's who in the zoo go to this. And I was looking through and I was like, Raygun? What are you doing there? And she was interviewed on the red carpet. But
she's basically royalty now.
she's Australia's sweetheart. I would say we love her, but I think some people do. And then I also think that some people have a lot of disdain is what I see in the comments. And Keisha's rolling her eyes because she is one of those people. Anyway.
Disdain isn't the word. I have issues with certain things that were done and ways that things were handled.
Okay.
You don't like the kangaroo.
Well, we can talk about that shortly because so there is a comedian, an Australian comedian who's gone viral online over the weekend. Her name is Stephanie Broadbridge. She had created a musical called Raygun the Musical, which was all about Raygun's, it was a parody, but it was about Raygun's childhood and her astronomical rise to fame throughout the Olympics. Now, it was a really, really small musical that was going to be put on at some comedy centres around Australia.
I think like 100 or 200 seats. Like it was very small.
Yeah, really small. Like I actually read that they were even littler than that, like 70 people per show.
Yeah, it's not like it's the Opera House.
Now, the reason why this no, it's not the Opera House. The reason why this has made such wide news this weekend is because the musical itself has been shut down due to legal reasons. So Raygun's legal team has taken action against Stephanie Broadbridge to say that it's defamation and also that she doesn't have the right to use Raygun's likeness or image in her musicals or in her productions. Have a listen to this.
Hi, I'm comedian Steph Broadbridge. I'm just hanging out in my casual day wear. My trial show tonight for Raygun the Musical has been cancelled. Raygun's lawyers got in touch with the venue and threatened legal action. So we will be refunding everyone their $10 or comp ticket back. For that, her lawyers trademarked my poster, which is flattering. I hope they do something fun with that. And they were also worried that I was damaging her brand, which I would never do. She doesn't need me to do that. They were very concerned that people would think that Rachel Gunn was affiliated with the musical. I want to assure everyone she will not be part of the show. She's very welcome to come. I would love for her to see it. They also said I wasn't allowed to do the dance because she owns the kangaroo dance.
Oh.
That one did puzzle me. I mean, that's an Olympic level dance. How would I possibly be able to do that without any formal breakdancing training? Anyway, to alleviate the concerns of Raygun's lawyers, I will be changing the name of the character to Raygun with an I. So I hope that fixes everyone's concerns.
Okay, so
Is that true? Is that true, the eye thing? Is she just still joking?
Who knows?
So to give a little bit more context on this video.
I don't think we need to do it.
Well, if you haven't seen Raygun's press video that she did after the Olympics, Stephanie is parodying even that video. So the way that she's speaking is imitating Raygun. The pauses in the sentences is very similar to what Raygun did when she did her first address of the nation after the Olympics. She is also dressed head to toe in Raygun's attire from the Olympics.
So bedazzled.
She's Ray-dazzled. So like the whole thing is still a parody. Now, there's lots of questions around this because what has happened here is obviously this idea that Raygun owns her own image and Stephanie is unable to profit from the comedy show, like create a parody, create a comedy skit around what is her persona. But the other part of this is that Steph has come out and said that all the money that was raised from the comedy show was also going to help a Women's Sydney shelter to help women who are disadvantaged. So there was a huge charity element to these shows as well.
And they were only $10 tickets.
Yeah, she wasn't personally profiting is what I wanted to kind of say. How do we feel about this? Because I think there's a lot of mixed opinions and feelings online around whether or not Raygun is in the right in having her lawyers rain down the hell fury of litigation or whether she's kind of taken it a step too far.
I understand both sides 100%. I see Raygun's side and I see Steph's side. It's funny because if Raygun didn't send her legal team in to shut this down, and this is nothing against the comedian Steph, there'd be a lot of people that don't even know this show existed. Like she has brought so much more oxygen and attention to the fact that this even happened. This would have happened. It would have been a cute little show. I'm sure it was brilliant. People would have had a laugh. Some money would have gone to a shelter. But now it's kicked off and it's making the news across the nation again. And it doesn't look good for Raygun. I understand why she did it, but it's not putting her in a good light.
Yeah, the optics of this, I think, are unfortunately really bad for her. And I also very much understand why she has come to a point where she's like, I am so sick of being the meme. I'm sick of being memeified. I am sick of people profiting off the image of making fun of me. I absolutely understand why there comes a point where you need to draw a line in the sand and go, okay, anything beyond this, I want it to be stopped because I don't want to be the laughing stock of the nation. But I think maybe this specific example was probably not the one to take action against, especially knowing that there was a charity element. It's very, very challenging don't think it's just female, but being a female who's been turned into a meme because she has become like, on one hand, like I said, a national treasure, but also a national laughing stock, who doesn't have control of her image anymore, and to constantly be told, oh, you need to just take the joke. There is only so much that you can take the joke when that joke means that your entire image and your person becomes something that is profitable to other people.
100%. And what I think has happened is I think for the last 5 months, she's been the laughing stock. The attention that she has drawn from around the world, like the biggest comedy shows in the world have been taking the piss of her. There have been some of the biggest musicians in the world that have been laughing at her on stage. They say that they're not. They say that there's like brilliant performance, but it's, a bit of a double entendre in there. But I think that what she has said, I don't think that this is the only example. I don't think she said, you know what, I've had enough. Shut that little comedy charity show down. I think she's gone to her team and said, from now on, like, let's stop this. No one's to laugh at me. No one's to profit from me. Just go and do it. She's paid her legal team. I don't think she's pointed this little show out and said, go and stop them. I think it's part of a broader conversation.
A broader rollout.
And I think that this has been happening a multitude of times, but we just haven't been hearing about it. We've only heard about it because the little person has come out and said, sorry, guys. Like, it's just got drawn attention. But I don't think it was you know what, I'm going to intentionally shut down this 70-seater charity-based show.
Do you find that there's a little bit of irony in this though? And I know that I've previously spoken about my criticisms of Raygun and the fact that she had built her entire academic career. I've read her research papers. I've read all of her published articles about how seriously she wanted to investigate the cultural origins of breaking and how that evolved into the modern times and whatever. That's what her PhD was on. You can find it on Macquarie Uni. She went into the Olympics kind of as the underdog, and that was kind of the piss take. It was like, look, I know I'm not as good as these other people, but I'm going to do what I can to entertain you, and that's what she did. She put on an entertainment performance. I didn't like the fact that those two messages seemed a bit incongruent to me, because it seemed as though you've built this academic career off of the back of learning and researching and expanding the knowledge of what breaking was, but then you seemingly kind of took the piss, but you were the underdog, and Australia loves an underdog, and we love someone who gives it a go. Now I'm looking at this situation, and Steph is the comedian. Steph is the underdog in this situation, who's just kind of like meant to be having a bit of a go, creating a bit of a laugh, doing a bit of a parody. Yes, she's taking the piss. And I do think that there's legal reasons to say that people would be confused about whether Raygun was actually going to be in the musical. I can see where they're coming from there. But to me, it seems a little bit like, well, you were the underdog when you wanted to be, but now your legal team are kind of attacking the underdog in this situation because they're using your brand. And now Raygun's legal team are saying, well, you can't do that. Like, Raygun is taken seriously and her brand can't be used, and this could, damage her reputation and her image.
She's like, no, you damaged your own reputation.
Well, it's actually quite funny. One of my friends, he's a really good First Nations creator on Instagram. It's _Isaac Compton, and he commented on Steph's Instagram post. And he said, imagine thinking this was going to damage your image. How does one coin the kangaroo dance? Is she going to sue every Indigenous person in Australia that does the dance? So my only point, and I understand why Raygun's legal team are saying it's confusing, people would have thought that she was a part of it. But I just think there's a couple of hypocrisies here where it's like, are you serious about this, or are you making a joke of it? You're okay when you're the one profiting from the joke, but you don't want anyone else to. Like, to me, it just seems a little bit confusing about what the messaging of Raygun's brand is supposed to be.
But I understand it.
What, as in her taking control? Or?
Yeah, I understand her taking control, because it's okay it's like, when you're kids and it's all right for you to pay your sibling out, but if someone else pays them out, you're like, hey, back off. Like, that's bullying now. Like, it's sort of the same thing. Even if she took the piss of herself. Like, just say she did, right? We know that it wasn't the most technical dance, but she was still being serious. I understand now when the rest of the world is taking the piss that you can come to the point where you're like, I've just had enough. Like, the world for 5 months, she's at the end of the day, she's still a human being that still gets affected. So I understand. I don't think she's gone about it the right way, but I do get why you can put your hands up and be like, leave me alone.
I actually don't think, I mean, it's interesting that both of you have gone to a point of like a place of unpacking like whether or not it's bullying that she's receiving.
I don't think it's bullying.
What, as in like she's had enough of the criticism?
Yeah.
I actually don't think that this has anything to do with criticism. I think that this has to do with revenue. The reason why you trademark your own image is so that other people can't use it and profit from it independently of you. She has become a meme. And the problem with becoming a meme is that you don't control it anymore because the internet controls it. And unfortunately for Raygun, her persona, like her actual person, became a meme off the back of the Olympics. So like she said at the GQ Awards when she was interviewed on the red carpet, she's like, there's so many parts of this that are really cool. You know, the fact that there are, you know, NFL players who are doing the kangaroo dance after they've kicked an amazing goal, or being able to be a part of some of the really amazing cultural movements, like going on stage with Tones and I. But then on the flip side of that, there's people who you can buy Christmas baubles of Raygun. You can buy Halloween costumes of Raygun. You can buy little things to stick on your windscreen wipers where her leg flips back and forth. And these are all items that someone is profiting from.
Yes.
That you can purchase and someone is making money off the back of this. And that must be deeply infuriating, being a woman who has a career, who is trying to like, you know, make a name for yourself in the breaking community, having other people profit off your image that you no longer control or have agency over. So I think where I have a bit of empathy for this and I kind of understand is that, yes, even though it is kind of like adding to the story about being a laughingstock and being like the butt of the joke and everything else, I think it pertains to a bigger thing, and it pertains to like not owning your own image. And unfortunately for Stephanie, you know, she says that she created this show and there was a charity element of it. I do understand why Raygun wants to control this. I just think the optics were bad in this situation. And that's unfortunate for her because I think once again it's backfired for Raygun, and all she's trying to do is garner a bit of control over her public image again.
Well, at the time of us recording this, so last night, the comedian Steph went on to the project and she actually apologized to Raygun. She said, hey, look, there was no ill intent. It's a show about celebrating an icon. I do think you're an icon. And if this affected you negatively, I do want to say I'm sorry. So she did come out and say that. And I don't think the intent was ever to hurt and humiliate. I think the intent was like, this is a cultural moment. Let's make a show on it.
No, I agree. But I think the reason for the apology makes sense to me. And that's because from everything I've seen off the back of, like, there are so many articles that have been written about this comedy show now. There are so many articles that have written about Raygun in a negative light because she can't take a joke and she can't make, you know, she hasn't lent into this, which people think she should have. And Stephanie's video coming out and almost mocking the legal reaction from Raygun has allowed other people to continue the mocking.
Yeah.
It's allowed the hatred of her to continue online, and it's almost given a green card to people to get in the comments again and be like, yeah, she's a flog, which is so unfair because I feel like Raygun was just coming out of being the laughingstock and starting to be, you know, like I said, she fluctuates between this being Australia's sweetheart and being like just totally a laughingstock of the nation, and things like this put her back in that camp. And I feel sorry for her. I think it's the overwhelming criticism that she has received has probably been unparalleled to the crime that she actually committed.
Absolutely agree with that. And I think the point that you made about she's a household name. She's actually an international name now, but she doesn't, you know, that you talk about these things with like fame, and often what comes with that is the ability to financially profit from that and make something of it. She's almost had that taken away. She's an international name, but she's not the one who's able to financially profit off of it. And I do feel sorry for her in the sense that the world did turn to some pretty dark places when they were commenting on her. But I just keep on going back to the fact that I found inconsistencies between everything to do with this situation. And I don't think that those are things that we can't talk about. My problem is that when I did speak about that on the podcast, people said that I was bullying her. And I was like, no. There's a very big difference between calling out a criticism of something that I think is legitimate, which I do think if you're trying to trademark a dance move that has been well documented in First Nations culture for a very, very, very long time. Like that, I go, no, you can't do that. That's
own
cultural
that.
appropriation. But I also think it's absolutely fine to trademark your name. And I don't think that your name should be able to be used in a poster of something that you're not a part of. So I kind of do sit in a bit of a fence. You know, I'm kind of switching sides of the fence of how I feel about this whole situation.
It's not the same, so I don't want anyone to conflate the two, but it's a really interesting conversation I had with Pia Miranda when I was doing Dancing with the Stars with her last year. So you guys might know, if you went through school at the same time that Britt and I did, Pia Miranda was the actress in the movie Looking for Alibrandi.
She was huge.
It was a hugely successful Australian film.
I studied it in English.
So did we.
Everyone did. We all did. That's why I was like, at
I
our
think
time.
it was the curriculum.
So it's interesting then that spanned over 7 years because I studied it as one of my, it was like a mandatory book and mandatory film.
And you're like 24 years older than us.
And I am 100 and I'm bald. So,
And I've got osteoporosis.
but the conversation I had with Pia Miranda about it, she's a wonderful, wonderful person. And I loved her insight because I was like, it's so surreal to me sitting here having a conversation with you when I literally studied you in school. Like I feel as though, I know that version of you so well. She said the funniest thing is, and not funny for her now, but it's something that she had to come to terms with, and she wrote it about it in her book. She's like, I was a household name. My face was everywhere. Every single person knew who I was. I couldn't walk down the street without being stopped for being, the actress in Looking for Alibrandi. She's like, and I was paid absolutely nothing for that role. She's like, and so there's something really almost dehumanizing that happens when you are so well known, you are such a household name, but you can't pay your own rent because. And she's like those things don't add up. And now I'm not saying that Raygun can't pay her own rent, and I'm not saying that she makes no money. I'm sure
Don't start that rumor.
No, I'm sure she financially is okay, but there is no way that she is as wealthy as what she should be for how prolifically known she is. She is an absolute celebrity, Australian celebrity at the moment, and she can't monetize her own image in the way that most Australian celebrities can.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I absolutely think you would be hard done by to find somebody that agrees with the fact that she's trademarking the kangaroo. I think that's across the board. But she is completely entitled to trademark her image now and take control of it. Doesn't matter how she got there. That's irrelevant. She's there now and she's allowed to control who says and does what and who profits from her. And for the people that are like, just lean in, the girl's lent in. The girl has lent in pretty hard last 5 months. If she lent in anymore, she'd probably fall over. The time has come where she's like, okay, I'm done with leaning. I'm going to stand back up straight, and I'm going to take back control. I think it's okay. So I think we all just need to cut her a bit of a break.
Yeah, and I think that's that point of the whole leaning in thing. Everyone's like, Australian loves someone who's self-deprecating. And we do. We love a self-deprecating queen. We love someone who can take the mickey out of themselves and take a joke. But I do kind of question as to whether this leans into a similar kind of area of the whole, just smile. Like, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you being nice? Why aren't you just being palatable? And we don't like it when somebody stands up for themselves or goes against it or tells us that the way that we're treating them makes them feel bad, makes them feel icky. And I think she's now saying, hey, I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
And we don't like being told that.
And also, just because you say, it's like the sentence, no offense, but, and then you say something offensive, just because you say it's a joke, take a joke, doesn't mean a joke can't be hurtful. That was deep.
Yeah, my only criticism is going back to why Raygun is known around the world. Did she make a joke of the Olympics? So I don't think any of the bullying that she faced and the horrendous criticism was justified. She was really torn to shreds, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. But if you go out onto the Olympic stage and you do something that is a bit of a joke and a bit of I'm going to do something unique and something really different like she did, do you then have to face the fact that people are going to create parodies about you and going to create entertainment about something that you created? You asked the question of Australia loves it when you can take the piss and you can take a joke. And I just go, well, wasn't the Olympic performance a joke too? So do you get to pick and choose when you are a part of the joke and when you're not?
But that's where we disagree, because I don't think that was a joke. She didn't go out there as a joke. She thought that she was being unique and doing it. She thought she was being patriotic. She thought she was like, I'm going to make an ode to Australia. And whether we agree with that or not, she's so serious that there's no part of her that's like, I'm going to take the piss in front of the world. That's not what it was. We see it as a bit funny and a bit of a joke, but I don't believe she did. I do not believe she went out there to mock her country. I think she was like, I'm going to try and pay some respect to the Australian culture. We all know it didn't land that way, but I think that was the intention. The intention wasn't to be a joke.
Do you know what I think the only thing that could really bring this all together and make Australia just fall in love with everyone involved in this situation is if they do a collaboration.
If she's in the musical.
Raygun can do Raygun the Musical and Steph can be Raygun with an I and they can donate all of the proceeds to charity.
Maybe she did want to do her own comedy
You know
show,
what?
and that's why.
You can have that idea for free. I'm not going to trademark that idea.
She's probably already trademarked it anyway. It's time for Accidentally Unfiltered. We got some bangers this week. Actually,
I love that you guys are sending them in because there was a bit of a dry spell there for a while.
no pun intended, but the first one is about banging.
Continue.
So last night I had arranged for a guy to come over and bang. He said he wouldn't get to me until after 11. I was like, totally fine. I'll just have a little nap, get ready for the night ahead. I fell asleep at 9:15 p.m. and woke up at 2 a.m. He had driven over an hour to where I live, but I had forgotten to give him my address. So he just waited for over an hour somewhere outside, hoping that I'd wake up, but I didn't. He had driven an hour back home again. I even set an alarm, but must have turned it off in my sleep. I also had my phone on sleep mode, so I didn't hear all the times he was outside trying to call me.
Fair. It's fine.
It's not fine.
It's actually fine.
It's not. Imagine if you drove an hour to bang someone, you didn't quite know the address, so you couldn't even knock.
Just
and you were
drove to the area.
You're just like lurking out the front at 11 p.m.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, obviously it sucks for him, but girlfriend, you needed your sleep, and organizing bangs at 11 o'clock at night when you've been at home since 9 p.m. Like, it was always going to end this way. You were never going to be on peak performance at 11 p.m. at night.
No, that's why she was going to be on peak performance. She was having a pre-game nap.
I can't remember. Maybe I did, and maybe I'm just like such a fucking old married woman now that like I cannot think of a time where I would have been at home like by myself, like you know, on a Saturday night at 9 p.m. and thought I'm going to schedule sex for later than 11. Like, I'm going to bed still.
Nothing would make me drier than someone interrupting my REM.
But you're not in REM yet. I'm a midnight sleeper, so it actually put me to sleep.
That's true. Apparently, like having good sex before sleep is, you know, it makes you sleep better. For someone who's all about their sleep wellness, Keisha, you should be getting
banging.
more.
Yes. Oxytocin released in the brain.
Go tell Toblerone that.
All right. I just returned to work from maternity leave and joined a branch Teams meeting remotely from home. It was my usual day off, so I had my little one with me, who is 11 months old, but thought, you know what, I'm just going to join the Teams meeting anyway to keep in the loop with the work updates. For context, everyone joins and they put their camera off and they mute themselves while our manager is on camera, providing all the updates. During the meeting, my son got a bit fussy. I worked out, well, he's probably just hungry. So I popped on my maternity bra, I pulled it down to give him some breast milk. At this point, I had the agenda open on my screen, so I could not view the Teams meeting in progress. My son bumped the keys several times as he is a wriggly little feeder. And to my horror, when I finished feeding him, I had minimized the agenda that was on the screen. And there I was. I could see I had my camera turned right on with my entire tit out. My entire breast was on the screen. I sent a message to my girlfriend who works there and was like, oh my God, was my boob out the entire time? And she was like, yeah, it was.
I think this is okay.
I messaged my boss, and thankfully their inclusive workplace approach meant that showing my breast to 30 people for half an hour didn't result in any disciplinary action. The next day we had a face-to-face morning tea, and I made a joke that some people would definitely remember that I'm back from maternity leave now.
I think this is okay. It's different if you just got your tit out for half an hour just cause. But if you're breastfeeding, it's like...
Absolutely, but I know how this would have gone down, and because she thought that she was completely not on,
it would have been out.
So the thing is like when you breastfeed and you know people can see, you do it remotely, discreetly, and it's not because there's any shame or anything like that. But you just like you kind of like pull your top up quickly, or you put the baby on quick. Like you do it in a way that kind of gives you a bit of modesty. Most people do.
Hers would have just been out.
And if you think no one's watching, you literally just sit with your whole tit out, and the baby's rolling around, and you're just boob out. And you're just living your best life, chatting around. Like when I was breastfeeding, I just walked around no top on whenever I was at home. So I can imagine that she was just like,
just for an emergency feed.
Yeah, because
quick access.
Because you're constantly got your tit out anyway. So why do you put a top on? You're like, ugh. So I'm just imagining that she was just zero cares.
I want to know why her friend didn't message her. Like if we were on a work meeting and one of you had your tit out, I'd be texting you on the side.
Because I think if I thought that maybe they were doing it intentionally, like
Of
I
course.
wouldn't be like, hey, dude, you're breastfeeding on screen, because I don't want to shame you for breastfeeding. But I would think, wow, she is breastfeeding and then some.
I think it's better for her just to lean in with the confidence of like, hey guys, yeah, I fed my kid on the meeting, get over it. Like, I think rather than being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't know my tit was up for half an hour. I think you just own the fact that you were feeding.
Okay, here's my question though, because we're all fine. Obviously, like breastfeeding, get your tit out wherever you want to. But how long post and pre the breastfeed are you allowed to just sit there with your boob out? Like, can I sit at my desk in the office if I'm breastfeeding and my kid's had a 20-minute little suckle?
No, you can't just
And
keep
then
your
I just
boob
leave
out.
my tit out because I know I'm going to have to do it in 10 more minutes. Like, that's what she probably did.
Yeah, that's inappropriate.
Like, is
you
that
can't
a
just,
problem?
You can't just walk around the office with your tits out because you're like, guys, my baby might need feeding in half an hour, so I'm just keeping my boobs out.
And then you're like, don't sexualize me. This is just a feeding object now.
Yeah,
it's not
you-
really a tit.
that
Sorry, boss.
that doesn't land. Put your tits away at work.
All right, guys, if you have an accidentally unfiltered for us, send them on in. We love your embarrassing stories. Britt, what is your suck for the week?
My suck for the week is, well, it was last week, but it's gone into this week. But I broke my toe, which is very inconvenient. I kicked it so hard in the sauna, and I've broken my toe twice before. So I haven't gone and got an X-ray, but I just know it is. I can't touch it. I can't walk in it properly, but I know that that's what that is. It will be fine in a week or two. My sweet is just the fact that tomorrow I'm going to Romania. No one is going to take that sweet away from me. So 2 more sleeps.
Don't jinx yourself. Now there's going to be like some storm or something's going to happen.
Laura, you're jinxing it.
That you did it. No one's going to take that. Why would you say it? No
Why
one's
would
gonna-
you say that? Well, my plane's going to crash? What are you going to do? Double down? Going to get hit by a bus? Yeah, so 1 sleep in real life in my bed and 1 sleep on a plane because obviously it's a 20,000-hour flight. So yeah, then I'm in my love's arms. We're going to embrace. We're going to have sex for 2 hours before my sister comes, and that's it.
Such a sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I
Think
can't
of
wait.
me. Can you think of me?
I will think of you. I'll be thinking of you.
While I'm
I'll
doing
ask
it.
you to FaceTime me. I can't wait for Thursday's no. When are we?
Next
week's Thursday's Ask Uncut will be like the real updates.
Yeah.
Because we have Thursday this week with Britt, and then the following week, Keisha and I, your little hottie, are going to be bringing you our Tuesday episode because,
I'll be traveling.
well, nah, Britt won't be traveling.
My mouth will be full. I can't talk. Sorry. It's always too much. There's always one. It's always me.
It's always you.
No, sometimes it's Laura.
It's often me.
It's often Laura. It's equal.
It's true. My suck. Can I say that my suck for the week is that I'm balding, or have I already discussed that too in depth?
It's a pretty big suck, but you have said it.
I have. Okay, my
Just
suck.
breeze over it.
A balding is definitely a suck that I'm having at the moment. But my other suck for the week is simply that this time of year, as much as it's full of magic and joy, it's fucking chaos, guys. Like the absolute struggle to get to the finish line for work and trying to fit in all, because everyone also, which this sounds like a criticism, it's not, but there's always so many like social things that you have to do and you want to do, but then they also coincide with the busiest time of work. So it doesn't make any sense because you're like, must go and enjoy myself with the Christmas party.
Must drink, must have fun, must
have
do
so
carols.
much work to do. Got to do carols. Yeah, there's a lot happening. So it's just a very intense time of year.
Yeah.
Full of magic joy. And then my sweet for the week is Marley graduated last week. It was the absolute fucking cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
What uni did she get into?
None yet, but we have put her down for high school because you have to like
Already?
enroll them so early.
Do I need to put my frozen embryos down for school?
Literally.
It's like getting a membership to the MCG.
So she graduated, and you guys
Very similar.
got a little private performance last night on our
Yeah.
Zoom call.
We did.
She sung her Million Dreams song. She sung
every word to the whole song, and I loved it.
I did keep trying to end it. When there was a gap, I started to applaud, and then she kept going.
she would say, I'm not finished.
She goes, not finished. And I was like, oh, my
She's
bad.
not finished. She knows every single word. So she did that. She did S Club 7, and there was a couple of other bangers in there. It went for an obnoxiously long time for a 5-year-old's graduation. We didn't get home until like 8:30. Lola was fucking ropeable. The poor kid was like, she was on another planet. She hadn't eaten, and it was like an hour and a half past her bedtime.
Like the
Kid's,
Oscars.
the kid's eyes were rolling back in her head, and she was having a full meltdown. But anyway, it was the sweetest thing ever. So that is my sweet.
Cute.
And then we put our Christmas trees up. There's been lots of family
Wholesome.
sweets this week. And guys, that is it from us. If you have an accidentally unfiltered, send them in. If you want to join in the discussion, you can join the Facebook discussion group.
And don't forget, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love because
We love love.